Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with a brand new Mattel Jurassic World figure. We have the Epic Evolution Danger Pack Kileskus, and this is one that I was really excited for because it's a very unique looking figure, pretty nice looking paint apps and everything. Of course, nothing over the top, but I think they look good for what they are, and just generally a neat looking figure, so I was really hyped for it. It's also a great species. I have never seen a figure, toy, model, nothing of this species. So Mattel, of course, continues to give us amazing species to enter into our collections that we probably didn't have otherwise. So again, pretty cool looking figure. Really excited to pop it out of the box. You can see the back of the box here shows off what else is included in this wave, as we have the Velociraptor, which I'm not entirely sure if that is a straight up repaint, or I mean a straight up repack of the version that had come out previously, but I actually haven't seen that one yet, so I'm going to have to grab that one at some point and compare with the older one. We also have the Papasaurus. We have, of course, the one that we're taking a look at today, and then we've got the only other one that is a new species, new actual figure, because again, these ones are actually repacks. I think this one's a repack. That one obviously is the same figure that came from the wave, right before this. So let's go ahead, pop this out of the box, and then we're going to jump straight to a closer look at it. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that head sculpt looks really quite nice. We've got some beautiful scale detail, beautiful fine detail in general. You also have a very cool, very unique looking crest up here on the top of the snout of our Kileskus, and you can see we have a pretty dark brownish tone here moving through the head, but then you have this really cool striping that moves down through the face, definitely giving it an extremely flashy but still very natural look. It's absolutely the type of coloration that pulls you in, and the again, appearance that would pull you in. You've got that very cool crest that just looks so unique, and I think that's one of the numerous reasons why I was really quite interested in getting this figure in hand, on top of course, the fact that it is a species I didn't have previously. We do have painted eyes with an orange, but it looks like the pupil is just the dark brown that we have there in the face. It's not a black pupil, but in this case it doesn't look bad. It still looks okay since that tone is so dark. You also have a light tone here for the lower jaw, and then if we open the mouth here, of course we've got an articulated jaw. You can see the teeth are all sculpted individually for the most part. They're all painted with a yellowish tone, which I think is nice to give it a little bit of realism. We don't have the best teeth in the world. They're kind of big and bulky, but they don't look terrible. I will say, a lot of the teeth, unlike the larger figures lately, have looked really good, and I don't know if they're going to implement those into the smaller figures at some point, but these teeth look okay for what they are, just obviously a little bit too big and bulky to be, realistic. You've also got the tongue there, sculpted on the inside of the mouth, painted with a pinkish tone, but it looks like only the tongue is painted. You can see we don't have any of that color on the upper side of the inside of the mouth. It only runs over the top of the inside of the tongue. You can see that the, sides of the inside of the mouth aren't painted. Even the side of the tongue itself actually isn't really painted. The skin here stretching is, but as you lead down lower, it looks like maybe it's missing just a little bit of paint, but it's not bad. Still pretty decent, I guess, and the jaw works pretty nicely. It gets a little tight as we close it, though. As you move back here into the neck, you've got like these very cool scoots that move along the back of the head and neck of our dinosaur. As you move down here, you can see again we have that light tone moving down into the throat of our Kileskus, and then as you lead down into the body, you can see that that disappears immediately. Not really like a smooth transition, but it doesn't look bad in that aspect either. You can see that the joint here for the neck is a darker tone, which is of course the dark tone here for the head and neck area, so it kind of stands out a little bit on the underside, but also not the worst thing in the world. And then of course we have that neck articulation, which can go down. That's about as far down as it goes, and then up. That's about as far up as it goes. Actually really quite nice. And then as you move back here into the body, you still see some more of that dark brown, that kind of patterns and just designs as you lead out here into the early back as well as the shoulder area, and it just kind of like breaks up and disappears from there. The skin texture looks pretty nice on this one as well. You can see it actually looks really, really highly detailed, and Mattel never, in my opinion, ceases to impress when it comes to the fine detail of their figures. I can say I would think that Mattel probably produces the most detail on any Jurassic Park or Jurassic World toy we've ever seen. Of course, that's not to say that, the old stuff isn't awesome, because I can assure you it is some of the best stuff that I have in my collection. But I think when it comes to fine detail, honestly, Mattel probably takes the cake on that one. But as you move down into the arm, you can see the muscle definition. You can also see some larger scales moving down, through the arm. You've got the elbow back there. You also have some decently sculpted fingers. There is that kind of like speckling that you see on some of the figures. You can kind of see some of the brown, the darker brown popping up here as you move down into the hands. Unfortunately, the nails aren't painted, but that's not surprising on a danger pack. However, it is nice to see that the wrists are not pronated, so that's definitely a plus for this one. And as we move back up here into the body, you see some ridges picking up here and moving along the course of the dinosaur along the side here. Also along the spinal column, you've got some pretty large ridges up there. But you can also see we've got some pretty cool feathering picking up that starts kind of like in the mid-back or early back and then runs along through the course of the body and pretty much overtakes the entire upper part of the dinosaur. The feathers are very emu-like, as they just kind of look like shaggy feathers moving out. You can kind of see that there, but as you move back here into the tail, you can really see that shaggy look to the feathers. And I think that is a pretty cool look for the figure. I really have been enjoying the fact that Mattel has been adding feathers to a lot of their figures lately. As you move down through the course of the leg, you can also see some scoots running down the front of the leg. You can see some osteoderms poking up here and there, as well as, again, the really nice scale detail, nice muscle definition in the thigh and calf right there. You've got the knee in the front of the leg, and then you move down into the foot, and it pretty much looks like your standard Mattel theropod foot sculpt. You've got the scoots running down the toes. The nails have kind of a little bit of a gloss coat to them, but no actual paint work, and you can see that there is that speckling running out even onto the nails. We do have the dew claw, of course, again, still not painted. And then as you move out here, you can see that we have the lighter tone start to return. Again, that same lighter tone we have here, and it kind of starts to stripe and then overtakes the underside of the tail here as you lead out through the skin textured area. And I really like that because, again, it's just, giving the figure almost a complete painted look, whereas normally we just don't have any paintwork for the underside leading out. And although, a portion of the figure doesn't have any coloration, they've given it like that look where it looks like it's part of the paint scheme or color scheme where it returns out onto the tail. So definitely a big fan of that. You can also see there's a little curve here to the tail as you lead out, which is really nice to see. The tail length looks okay for a figure like this. Again, they normally have fairly short tails at times, and this one has a decent length to it. And then, of course, you're going to see pretty much the same thing on this side, except for the fact that the leg is trailing a little bit more so than the opposing leg, which is leading. Gives you a little bit of a better look at the skin texture of the stomach and everything, but everything else is going to pretty much be the same. I guess also the tail kind of curves away from us, so there's a little bit of a difference there. And then the other articulated areas we have would be the arms, which is only forward and back, not out away from the body. Legs, again, only forward and back. No ankle swivels or anything on these type of figures usually. And then you also have a swivel for the tail, which is probably the most useless articulation that Mattel figures have, but it is there regardless. So definitely a really cool looking danger pack. I would honestly say it's probably one of my favorite danger packs to come along in a long time. As far as a size goes, it is right there in the size range you would expect it to be, considering it is a danger pack. Lengthwise, you're looking at about maybe a hair under 7¼ inches or a little over 18 centimeters. Actually, maybe about 18½ centimeters, I would say. And then for a height, this, of course, could change depending on the positioning of the head, but you are looking at about 3 inches or just under 8 centimeters, somewhere in that area. And also, before I forget and go too far, let's go ahead and get the Facts app code out for you guys if you would like to add this one to your collection. There you go. I often forget to include that. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Kileskus. And you can see it's exactly the size range you would expect it to be. When it comes to an attack pack, a danger pack, that type of size range, this sits exactly where a normal theropod would I don't feel like we need too many comparisons this time around, but here's another one with a Mattel Raptor, which you can see the Kileskus is very similar in size to a standard Mattel Raptor, maybe slightly smaller. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Epic Evolution Danger Pack Kileskus is a very, very nice figure, actually. And as I had stated, I would say it's probably one of my favorites to come from Mattel in quite some time in the Danger Pack line. I think the sculpt is really well done. It's very crisp, very vibrant, and also sports a lot of different detail. Like you have a lot of variation to the appearance to this one, as you have like scoot-like scales, almost kind of like a slightly armored kind of a neck. You have finer scaling in the face. You have a very different look to the skin texture as you move into the body itself. Kind of larger scales on the arms. You have like scoots and osteoderms moving down the legs. Then you also have feathers up there on the back. Like there's a lot going on when it comes to the overall appearance of this one, and very clearly Mattel put a lot of effort into the sculpt, and I think it really does pay off on the final product. It's probably one of the most visually appealing Mattel figures to come in quite some time. Now, I know not everyone is a fan of this one, and I don't really understand why, but personally I think it looks really good. The paint apps are also really nice for this one. If they had just given it painted nails, I feel like it would have that fully complete, fully painted appearance to it, because we do have paint from head to tail, which is nice to see. The speckling on the figure as well just adds a little extra to it, something that I do enjoy. They maybe could have given the feathers a little bit of a different color, but I feel like it's not necessary. It's just something they could have done to improve it a little bit. But overall, I feel like the paint apps are really quite nice. No real sloppiness or anything, like on the teeth or the eyes. A little bit on the tongue, but nothing that's worth complaining about. You also have articulation, of course, and the articulation works quite nicely, as you would expect it to do, pretty much as your standard Mattel figure would have. So overall, this is definitely a very nice figure that is just now showing up at different Walmarts around the United States. Outside of the United States, I'm not positive where you could find this. Wherever you normally would buy Jurassic stuff, I would say search those areas and see if it's out, because it is definitely a figure worth picking up. But one way or another, if you are interested, again, make sure you grab it when you find it, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.